What's going on, guys? Welcome to Everything Always. My name's Michael Roman, aka Allfires. I sincerely appreciate all the kind DMs wondering if I was okay. I know yesterday was a terrible day to choose to go MIA. However, I kind of had something going on, a slight emergency. I am happy to report everything is okay on my side. In the meantime, though, when I finally made it home yesterday, and after the number of Easter egg videos that had already been made, it felt a little redundant to rehash it again, and mostly because that was the exact same footage that we saw almost in full a year ago at D23. I had already broke that down at the channel. I didn't feel like another 9-minute video just rehashing everything was worth making. Of course, we're going to talk about a lot of this stuff anyway in future videos between now and when it comes out in November. And speaking of which, from an update the day before the trailer actually dropped regarding what's going on with Armor Wars, not only a redirection to the silver screen, but a brand new title and rewrite as well. Apparently, it's not going to center on Iron Man's tech getting out, and we can finally do away with everybody using the wrong name to describe what story they were actually telling. Yep, I'm going to break down all the details in full, what the new scoop is and what they say it's going to center on, and how that directly pertains to what we're seeing now in both Secret Invasion and this brand new Marvels film. I'm also going to talk a little bit about the Marvels trailer, for which, guys, I am super hyped. We're breaking it all down, but first, I want to tell you about my friends over at comicbookdirect.com. They are a brand new website that's really putting the ease of buying comic books all in one place. You can go there and get the one-offs you need. They work with all the major distributors, including Marvel, but the major feature, and especially for me, is that if you're in the middle of a run, you can go ahead and subscribe and get those books delivered to you weekly, which makes it easier than ever, especially in the modern day of Marvel, to keep up with these stories. You can go ahead and pay in advance, get a bigger discount, or just pay as you go. And if you act now, for the next 100 people who sign up below, you're going to get 20% off. That link is down in the description. Again, that's comicbookdirect.com, the easiest place to get everything from figures, mangas, collectibles, and especially the comics you want. Okay, so this news broke over on the Fandom Wire under the headline, Armor Wars reportedly changing its title and focusing on Kree-Skrull War rather than Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man tech, where they go on to re-report from a Twitter scoopster, which means for now, we're leaving it in rumor mill territory. Armor Wars will not be called Armor Wars when it's released in theaters. Also, it's not shooting next month. In fact, it's not slated to film this year altogether. Also, the main plot for this movie will be about the Kree-Skrull War. Now, I often see it misreported when people talk about the introduction of the Kree during the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie that the Skrulls weren't owned by Marvel Studios. In fact, the Skrulls were actually co-owned with Fox by Marvel Studios in the same way they co-owned Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver. However, when a fan asked James Gunn about this and why they didn't use the Skrulls, James Gunn's response was that some specific Skrulls were at Fox, and I'm guessing he meant the Super Skrull, the typical Fantastic Four villain. Of course, ancillary characters to the main IP usually go along with the character. Same thing over at Sony with Spider-Man. They got a ton of other Spider-Man characters. Now it appears, though, they've decided to reprioritize the Kree-Skrull War, as it was super important for a lot of the comic book runs, especially early on, and weave that storyline amongst what's going on with the multiverse, especially with some of the rumors, as we've heard, pertains to the plot now for the upcoming Marvel's film. Now, as I mentioned just for a moment in the prologue, referring to the storyline that Marvel kept talking about they wanted to do in Armor Wars, wasn't even an Armor Wars story. It was actually called something else in the comics. It was only referred to as Armor Wars during a certain advertising run for it. That's the one where Tony Stark's armor gets out, gets in the hands of a bunch of villains, and he has to clean it up. Even recently, as in a couple of months ago, from one of the top brass at Marvel Studios, they were talking about the quote-unquote beautiful publishing imagery from Armor Wars and stuff they wanted to do with all the Iron Man tech that didn't make sense for the budget for a TV show. Okay, once and for all, I'm so glad they are changing the name because they had this all wrong. Okay, the storyline they're talking about, where Tony Stark's tech gets out in the hands of all the villains and Dr. Dooms, and then they have to clean it up, that they were going to replace James Rhodes with instead of having Tony Stark, that's actually called the Stark Wars. It was only called Armor Wars in like one advertisement, and while affectionately referred to as that, the actual Armor Wars storyline ties into the battle world revolving around what was going on with Secret Wars back in 2015, in which Rhodey is actually a version of Thor with Thor's hammer, and as fun as that sounds, they're not going to be doing that storyline. Armor Wars was really never really truly the storyline anyway, and really wouldn't have made any sense in the context of having Rhodey come back, and I really like to hear that this is not going to focus on some sort of weird resurrection of Tony Stark, or even on Tony Stark at all. It's going to be a James Rhodes storyline. And there are plenty of Rhodey storylines they can definitely examine in the future as they pertain to this whole side of the Marvel Universe. One in specific, a relationship between James Rhodes and Carol Danvers. They definitely dated in the comics. That's one thing they could explore in the upcoming film, but it looks as though it'll give stakes to this storyline now, really set in motion by Captain Marvel. Not as much in Guardians of the Galaxy. Yes, I know that we definitely see Ronan the Accuser's hammer, and it's most likely that the title of the Accuser, something that's handed down, has been handed down by Ronan. Some people thought they were looking at Ronan, but if you see it from a certain angle and shots, there's actually two people with their face painted like that. And while it could be a flashback scene to when Ronan the Accuser was around, I think more likely she's just the Accuser now, and has had a hammer like his as she wears the mantle of the Accuser. Basically, just setting them up as a fanatical faction of the Kree. And I want to definitely tie that back to what's going on though with the trailer. One detail I didn't really see anybody mention in their Easter egg videos, so I wanted to bring it up here, is that if you watch very closely and slowly at the beginning of the trailer, this blue portal seems to open up as we're scrolling in on the Saber base. So that opening up is what sends them out there to check it out anyway. And we know this is a jump point. They know it's a jump point. She can tell from the hexagonal space, but it's likely that this is Dar-Ben and the Kree going after the resources that on Earth. It doesn't seem to be interacting with the Skrulls in any meaningful way. And I'm wondering, given this trailer, it doesn't really seem to tie to Secret Invasion either. It also sort of feels like once they defeat the Skrulls at the end of Secret Invasion, as you can see from this trailer, not only does Nick Fury seemingly survive Secret Invasion, but he looks a lot better here than say he looked when we most recently saw him in the Secret Invasion trailer. But if they're going to continue this Kree-Skrull war storyline, this would be a great movie to do it in, and I'm wondering if they're hiding some sort of Skrull involvement. I think conversely though, if they take this movie to explain what's going on with the Marvels versus the Kree, we really don't see that much Skrull involvement at all, well, maybe we'll be able to better tell by the time we get to the end of Secret Invasion. And that's the fun thing about scoops and rumors. We'll get to see if they're right when they're finally revealed. Guys, I thought this trailer looked amazing, and the thing that really comes off from the trailer, other than it being fun, is that it has a sense of itself as a film. There's a lot of humor in it, but it doesn't seem to be undercutting. Like, the movie is doing something, a cohesive story. That's evident in the footage from the film. And while I know there were some people who were really quick to point out what is maybe not the best CGI, especially towards the end of the trailer when they're all fighting, but seriously, at this point, if you're looking for something to complain about, you're always going to find it. I thought this trailer looked amazing, and especially those same scenes that they're complaining about at the end when they're fighting. Again, I'm not going to do an Easter egg breakdown, but if you watch it very closely, Miss Marvel gets an attack in, and then she transfers into Monica Rambeau and gets an attack right here. Boom, boom. It actually looks amazing. I'm super hyped for this film. You guys let me know if you are as well. I'm all ears as always. Quickly, let's get into the giveaway stuff before I let you go. We are still giving away a PlayStation 5. The next milestone is the Guardians of the Galaxy release, which is less than a month away. So if you want to be entered to win, super simple. Same goes for all the giveaways here at the channel. All you got to do, hit the subscribe button, then leave a comment down below, because it's truly random. The more videos you comment on, better chance you have of winning. All winners always announced live with my voice at the end of the screen with the comment shown on screen when there is a winner. So be safe on every platform. Never just fall for someone saying you want something. Be vigilant out there, safe, and report those comments to YouTube. My name's Michael Roman. You can find me in a couple of places, Instagram and Twitter at IamFires. You can also find me on Spotify, YouTube, Amazon, Apple, iTunes, wherever you listen to original music under the name Allfires. Well, I sincerely appreciate you checking my music out. Thanks for checking this channel out. Stick around. We'll be posting again real soon.